All right. Welcome to week 2 of the Just Jacoby podcast. We're going to be talking week 2 NFL. We're going to be talking Jets, Giants, a little Cowboys, a little Eagles, NFC East, AFC East. So it is a Tuesday morning. My New York Jets have already embarrassed themselves on national TV. And we're going to start with that. So first we have Sam Darnold. He's coming in 28 for 41, 175 yards, 1 touchdown. Adam Gase all offseason was talking about how we had this electrifying offense. We picked up Ryan Khalil from the Panthers out of retirement. We had this offensive line that was starting to look like some sort of a cohesive unit. I have no idea where that cohesive unit was on Sunday. Sam Darnold had about 1.2 seconds to throw the ball per drop back. I mean, he did not even get to do a 3-step drop. And that's part of the reason that Le'Veon had such a good game, because Darnold was able to sit back in the pocket as he's seen his life flash before his eyes, and he had to either A, dump the ball right to Lev, or B, dump the ball to Crowder. Those are his only 2 options. He doesn't even have a chance to start to look down the field and check his first and second reads in Robbie and Quincy, and he's just hurling the ball 7 yards to his right and pick up a 4 on third down when it's 3rd and 10. We saw that all game. We also saw a lot of some Adam Gase play calling that I think a lot of Jets fans were a bit skeptical of. A lot of draws, a lot of handoffs right to Le'Veon, right up the gut on 2nd and 10, just to set up for a long 3rd down. People are going to be skeptical of Adam Gase, especially now after that performance. There's just not a lot. There's not a lot that he showed us in this week 1 to give us any promise. And now, and we'll start on the other side of the ball. We'll take a look at what Greg Williams' defense did. Going into the half, they were pitching a shutout, man. I mean, the Jets were up 16-0. The Bills could not score. Josh Allen looked like hot trash. Sam Darnold wasn't looking too hot either, but Josh Allen was not looking like a very good NFL quarterback at that time. C.J. Mosley was leading those guys out there. 4 turnovers, 4 takeaways for that defense, and then C.J. Mosley leaves the game. And as well as I do, as soon as C.J. Mosley left that game, it was over for that Jets defense. I mean, they crumbled. And listen, they gave up 2 touchdowns. And that was the only points that they allowed towards the end of that game. If Mosley went down in the first half, that Buffalo offense would have scored 4 or 5 touchdowns on them. C.J. Mosley was the glue that was keeping that defense together, and once he left the field, they were lost. They could not hold their own. There's no depth on that side of the ball, and it was clear. Now, this week, a lot of people are getting on Adam Gase for a press conference that he had where he's talking about how he is the head coach and he can, the beautiful part of being the head coach is that he can make all the final decisions. And, I'm not going to get on Gase for this. I think that the guy's clearly a lunatic. The guy's a nut job. I think that it's clear that he cares a lot about this team, and there's a ton of pressure on him after not being the winningest coach in Miami, coming to New York, playing in the Big Apple. The pressure's on. You're going to deal with the New York media, and he's never been a good media guy. He's never going to give the media the quotes that they're looking for. And in particular, he was being asked about Ty Montgomery. Now, Ty Montgomery had 2 carries for 4 yards, for an average of 2. And that was interesting. A lot of people were wondering why Montgomery was so underutilized in this game. I can't answer that. I think Montgomery would have been a good weapon to use in the slot. I think him and Le'Veon do a little wishbone back there. There are a lot of ways that Montgomery could have gotten involved in this game and made a difference, because if you split Le'Veon and Montgomery in the backfield, now all of a sudden the defense has to pay attention to the 2 of them. And even though they're bringing the house on Sam Darnold because they know that he's shaken up back there, and he just wants to get rid of the ball. Well, now he could dump it to the right or he can dump it to the left. All of a sudden, there's more options, So that being said, Monday Night Football next week, the Jets will be taking on the Cleveland Browns at home, who were just roughed up at their home field by the Tennessee Titans. Marcus Mariota came in and gave them a beating with he went 14 for 24 attempts, 248 yards and 3 touchdowns. Absolutely embarrassed Baker Mayfield, who threw he had similar statistics passing the ball as far as completions and attempts go in yards, except he threw 3 interceptions. And a lot of times this is and it's funny because the Jets game is the one instance where I'll say, if you don't win the turnover battle, you're not going to win the game. And of course, in typical New York Jets fashion, they won the turnover battle and lost the game by a point because of a incredible lack of depth at the kicking position, amongst other things. So now the Cleveland Browns are coming to MetLife on a Monday night for primetime Monday Night Football. Is Baker Mayfield going to show up? Is he going to be making these downfield throws to Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry? Odell, he averaged 10 yards a catch on 71 yards, 7 receptions the other night. Jarvis Landry didn't do much of anything. He was just short of that. Baker's got to get these major players involved in his offense. Their offensive line looked as bad as the Jets did. But if Baker wants a chance at winning this game, in theory, it really should not be difficult to him. The problem with Baker and the problem with this Browns team is that offensive line is not giving him any time to throw the ball. It's similar. It's the same problem that Sam's having, because I think that they're both capable quarterbacks going into their sophomore years, and they have no time to throw the ball. They can't get the ball out. They have deep threats. The Jets have Robbie. The Jets have Enunwa. They have Crowder. And the Cleveland Browns have 2 of the best receivers in the National Football League, 2 LSU teammates in Odell and Jarvis. And Baker can't get these guys the ball because the offensive line is letting them get rocked out there. So what we're going to see. We're going to see how this goes on Monday night. If the Jets picked up this game against the Bills, I would have said I like the Jets. Now I'm not so sure. I'm not sure what Adam Gase is capable of dialing up for this offense that looked completely sluggish. There was not much impressive going on behalf of that Jets team on the offensive side of the ball. I don't know. And it's good. Today, C.J. Mosley had an MRI in his groin. That came back negative. It's looking like he is going to play on Monday. And I'll tell you that, for Jets fans, that has to be a major, major sigh, a major breath of fresh air, because if C.J. Mosley was not on the field for this Monday night game against Cleveland, to me, you might as well forfeit the game, because they would have run up that score. The Jets are getting no pass rush. They're not getting anybody to Baker. And that's going to be something to watch too. Apparently people saw Quinnen Williams walking around in a walking boot this week. Nobody was getting to Baker Mayfield last week. Nobody's going to be getting to Baker Mayfield this week unless Quinnen Williams is on that field and Greg Williams decides to start using him in a pass rush. The only time that the one sack on Josh Allen this week, mind you, the only time that the Jets were getting to Josh Allen is if they were sending Jamal Adams through on a safety blitz, a corner blitz, leaving holes open in the secondary, because their front 4 was just not getting the job done. That will not fly with Baker Mayfield. I know he did not have a good performance against this Titans D, but I believe that if the Jets cannot get pressure on Baker Mayfield, he will pick apart that pathetic Jets secondary. So, I'll pick the Jets because they're my team, but I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure they have this in the bag. It's going to be interesting to see. Monday Night Football, the whole world's going to be watching, so this is a good time. this is a good time for Adam Gase to turn on the Jets and make a lasting impression and stop feeding this city nonsense, because we are so sick of it as Jets fans. Give us something. Give us a team to root for. Put a product out on the field that is going to compete among the elite teams in the National Football League.